As we look into the future of entrepreneurship, innovation, and doing business globally, we have to evaluate our educational, educational institution and system with strategic thought. Are we giving our future leaders the best possible tools needed to navigate and succeed in a global level? COVID has presented a year for us to truly evaluate and plan our next steps. Welcome to Creative Monday Discussion. I am your host, Mervin Budram, and we are creatives transforming lives. Welcome back to Creative Monday Discussion. I am your host, Mervin Budram, and I'll be with you for the next hour. Before we jump in tonight, we want to firstly welcome you to the show. Let's use our comment section below if we want to hear where you're tuning in from. So wherever you're from in the world, in Belize, wherever, we want to know where you're locked in from. So comment in our comment section, let us know. And also we want to welcome our those viewing on the national channel, TNC. We want to say good night to you. Welcome. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to say thank you to our sponsors and partners for making this show a reality. So we want to say thank you to Task Belize Limited, Formosa Cafe, Coaching with Melanie, the Art Shack, Belmopan YWCA, and Budram Solutions. And you know, guys, I just want you guys to know that we are excited about tonight's show. I can't believe the year is almost up. We're like really coming into December. We're 11 months into the year, and I can't believe we're almost out of 2020 and into 2021. And so much has happened this year, but I think it's very important. And one of the things I love to do as I reflect over the year is just to stop, pause, and look at what have happened, what did we do, what success we had, what areas can we improve on. And so tonight we want to do that. Tonight we're gonna have some guests that's going to join us and have us look into the educational space, what's been going on there, and kind of let's discuss what worked, what's not working, and what we can do. Because as a business owner, I'm thinking about the future of my business, the future of innovation, and where things are going, and making sure that we have amazing, innovative employers, team members, jumping in to make the world a better place, right? So right now we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we will be joined by three amazing teachers, principals, educators, who's going to give us their thoughts on this time.
2013, with the assistance of the European Union and the government of Belize, the YWCA Belize opened its YWCA National Resource Center for Enterprise and Development Facility in the St. Anne's Complex in Independence Park in the capital of Belize, Belmopan. Courses such as sewing, cake decorating, culinary arts, computer, cosmetology, barbering, massage, and palliative care and English as a second language are offered. Classes run in 13 weeks long sessions, with intakes occurring for the periods January to March, April to June, and September to December every year for persons 15 years and older. For children under the age of 15, a 1-month-long summer program is available, usually commencing in mid-July. The YWCA NRCED invites all to visit its offices to find out more.
All right. So I want to say welcome back again for those who just tuned in. You are watching the Creative Monday Discussion Show, and we are live on Facebook, on YouTube. I want to say shout out to our friends on YouTube as well who's tuned in, and we're also on the national channel. We won't take any long intros. We actually want to do something a little bit different tonight. We're going to bring all our guests in. Both of our guests are not strangers to the Creative Monday discussion show. So I want to welcome back Dr. Jennifer Clark and as well as Mrs. Andrea Guerra. We want to welcome you back to the show, and we want to welcome our new addition, Miss Sonia, who's joining us. This is her first time. So for all of you guys, I just want to say welcome to the Creative Discussion Show.
Thank you, Merv.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Great, awesome. We had some great discussion last time, and so but before we jump in, let's take a minute just to quickly, just briefly introduce yourselves. Not everyone might know who you are, so let's take a quick moment just to briefly introduce yourself. Let's start with Miss Sonia, since she is she is new to the show. Can you hear us, Miss Sonia? I think she's freezing up a little. Miss Jen, you want to go ahead, and then we'll see if we get Miss Sonia back.
Sure. I'm so glad to be back with you guys. I'm Jennifer Clark. I actually have the privilege of serving as a headmaster of Excel Christian Academy. Years in Belize, and I've always loved my time there. We have some great schools in Belize that I still do work with our Belize Teacher Leadership Program, working to transform educators' professional development for Belizeans by Belizeans.
All right, and Miss Andrea.
Hi, good night. I'm Andrea Guerra. I'm the principal for Santa Elena Primary School. I'm happy to be back, and thanks for having me being a part of the program again.
Definitely a pleasure having you. Actually, your one of your comments sat with me for quite a while from our last show, and it was one of those things that we even as we were working with our kids home, I kept making sure that we're thinking about it, right? And you were talking about just making sure that no one slips through the crack, and even within our homes, sometimes with the different kids that we have, it's easy for our kids to slip through the cracks as we're trying to do our daily routine and get things done. So that's been in the back of my mind a lot, right? So Miss Sonia, are you with us? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Everyone, as you have mentioned, my name is Miss Sonia Martinez, and I've been an educator for 15 years. I work alongside with Miss Andrea at the primary school of Santa Elena.
Very good, very good. Well, again, I want to welcome you guys, and even tonight's topic, I'm very excited for, and I want to encourage those who are tuning in. Let's share this link. Let's get our friends on. Let's give your input and your experience. Why am I talking about education, and why do we have educators on? I know for the most part we've been locked in on business and entrepreneurship, innovation, creativity, but the reality is we have to think about the future. We have to think about our future leaders, and we have to make sure that we are providing the tools they need, because they will be the one who take things to the next level, right? And so I'm very excited to have our guests tonight. So I want to open up with the first question. We are 11 months in. What have you guys seen? What have your experience been this year so far? And what would you say we're doing? And this is a loaded question. What, from your perspective, are we doing right? And what are we doing wrong? What's working? What's not working? Any one of us can just jump in and start to give our thoughts and feedback there.
Okay.
I'll rush.
Well, I'll start and then we can pass the baton.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that I see us doing right is many teachers are just trying to work collaboratively. They're researching, they're asking questions of each other. I've seen a lot of social media groups starting. I do know that Andrea's school and our school have actually had a few Zoom calls where my teachers and her teachers are learning from each other, asking what's going on. So I think that teachers who might have been I'm kind of comfortable in my classroom, I've got my degree, they're now learning. They're going to find all kinds of information because we're in a new phase. I think one of the things I'm seeing that I'm really concerned about maybe doing not as effectively, is many schools are taking remote learning and taking our what we normally do in the classroom and just transitioning and shifting it to home. And so we're taking worksheets and we're taking that direct instruction, one size fits all, and bringing it to the house. Whereas, it could be more differentiated. It could be more hands-on and engaging for that learner, because you don't have 30 other students in the classroom that you're managing time with. You have one-on-one, really. Yes, they're 30, but they're in a small environment. So I think that taking our general class of what we do at the school and moving it into the classroom is not really effective. And I think we can be a little more innovative and find out what might work better for those kids to be more innovative.
It's good. And that opens up so much questions for me, but I want to give time for the other guests to share their feedback before we go there. Miss Andrea?
For us, it's been challenging, I will say. We started off with one platform, and then we realized that won't work. We move on to another one. The concern still stays with us with the fewer children who it's hard to reach, especially the kids that do not have the available resources for them to complete what is given to them. And it keeps being to the back of our mind as to how we can reach these students. I can really say that we have a dynamic staff working. Our teachers are so innovative. They held on so much with integrity of what they are doing. They work so hard in trying to reach the goal that we set, to be there for those children, to have learning reach the home of these kids. But yet we are still far from the goal, because there are still the few, the ones that we still cannot find a way how to reach them.
Yeah.
And especially now that COVID is at the rise here, and it's becoming a little bit more challenging when it comes to meeting these kids. I can say though that we work together as a group. We learn from each other. We help each other, and we're willing to ask questions. We're willing to share. We're willing to move forward as a school. And it is challenging. It is difficult. And we have our teachers who answer calls all the way up to midnight.
Wow.
We have teachers who are working all the way after midnight. We have teachers who try one-to-one with kids using WhatsApp, using the Google Suite. We find all kind of way to reach these kids. But yet the ones that we really need to meet are the ones that we still cannot reach out to them the way how we want. And it reflects back on our regular school year, because these are the same kids that will come to school, and these are the same kids that you have to find a way to reach them, and they're at school, so it's easier. Imagine now that they are so far away. It's something that ponders on us, and it's something that we are trying our best to find how we can reach these kids. But I can say it's challenging, because when we move forward and we want to do something new, we'll have parents who will find it kind of challenging to do. But at the same time, we always remind our students, well, not our students, our teachers and our parents, that it's all about our kids. And whatever decision, whatever we make is in the best interest of the students, and not really for what is good for us or what is good for the parents, because at the end of the day, it's the kids. They are the future of our country, and we need to make sure that they are well educated.
Yeah. Would you say the challenges lie in the space of with the technology, in access to internet, access to equipment? Is that something that is a primary issue with those kids? Because I know it's very dear to your heart for the kids that are slipping through the cracks, right? And it's important that we find solutions for those.
It's more than the technology, and it's more than sending the packages. The challenge is that these parents pick up packages, and then packages come back to teachers, but they're incomplete. So that is telling us that the parents themselves do not understand, and they are not able to help their kids. And then even though we open the doors for these parents to call for us to tutor the child one-on-one, there's a lot of factors that affect it, because yes, they don't have internet, they don't have data, they don't have money
Yeah.
to put in credit in their phone to call. So all these are challenges for us and for them as well. So we know the parents are interested because they come and they pick up the stuff, but then they bring it back incomplete. So
Yeah.
it is not working.
Yeah, it presents, and I want to say it really presents an opportunity for entrepreneurs and innovators in this time to come
Mhm.
up with a solution that we can help solve this. Because again, if we can effectively impact this level with our kids, we're definitely securing a better future for Belize, for our nation,
Mhm.
for business, for all sectors of life, right? And so I do want to kind of put a challenge out there for entrepreneurs, business owners, thinkers, innovators. Let's be putting our minds together and come up with some solutions. Or I'm sure there's solutions out there, but let's find
Mhm.
them and pull them together so that we can fix this era, because it's essential, right? Miss Sonia, tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, what have you seen work and what is not working, as you're working with the kids on a day-to-day basis.
Well, first of all, I would have to agree with Miss Andrea. We had many challenges, but we have come so far and we're continuing. Every week we're finding new solutions. It's taking time, but if every week we can at least have one more additional student accomplishing the task that we have set, then that's a win for us.
Yeah.
I have to make reference to Freud theory. You know, he mentioned how we learn or have a greater understanding when we share ideas, when we sit down and have conversations. And
Yeah.
that is what one of the things that did work for us. We have a wonderful team that allows us to sit down and bring new ideas and is very welcoming. We have great leaders at our school, Miss Andrea, Miss Deborah, you know, they work alongside of us and they motivate us. They actually fill us with that feeling of wanting to work harder.
Good.
We're very blessed to have these kinds of leaders. It is
It's good.
also one of the things that it was a very, I would say, uh, more, I wouldn't say negative, but one of the factors that was affecting us was not everyone is tech savvy. Not everyone is
Yeah.
on the same power level. And whenever we wanted to go to this approach of, you know, developing online platforms, some of them did, you know, feel a certain way of discouragement and not feeling very positive about it. But we were able to help a lot. We gave them ideas, and it's very important for people to understand, you know, at the end, we are doing this for the children, like Miss Andrea has said, you know, and there are many things that we are seeing that are working, you know, and yes, we do make a lot of phone calls. I think parents do get tired of hearing us, but I also believe I also believe that a little positive note, one time for the week, telling them, Dick, you know what? You managed. We
Yeah.
had 5 work sets for the week, but you managed to hand in. Let me tell you what a good job you did on this one, and it encourages them that
Yeah.
you know what I should get this done. And there are many
You,
other factors that we could list, you know, but it's taking its time, being targeting one by one.
very good. Very good. You know, I'm a product of good teachers. I'm a product of teachers that go over and beyond the call of duty. And I do want to just, in before we segue to more questions, I want to say to teachers out there, first of all, I just want to affirm you in the job you're doing. I know it's not easy. I know you're doing a lot to try to connect, and I want to encourage you to continue to it. This is one of those spaces where you can say, like, we've done so much and it's time to stop. Like, it's kind of one of those big buckets that you got to keep just dumping into. I love movies like To Serve with Love. I love those movies where the teachers go over and beyond to really connect with that student, and you see that student rise above and come in. And Miss Sonia brought up a very interesting point. Not everyone is tech savvy. Not everyone is in that space, and in this current climate, it's harder to kind of hone in on that child who might not be tech savvy, but they're great in another area, or they're great in another aspects of life, and they can actually bloom in another aspects of life. And I want to ask this question because Miss Jen said earlier, for us not to necessarily take what we've been doing in the classroom and translate it back into the digital space, but there's more opportunity for that one-on-one. How do you guys think we can do that? Because I'm thinking, I sit in my daughter's works office. Well, it's my office. It's become her office now. I sit in there as she's going through class, and I hear the challenge of trying to connect with each child on a screen. What are some of the things that can be done to make that transition to kind of connect individually with the child, and also pull out their natural strengths while still in a kind of like a group setting, because everyone's still on the screen? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think when we look at traditional learning environments, we're trying to couple, or again, we're trying to take that classroom and have students sit in their workspace at home from 8 o'clock till 3:30.
Yeah.
And I think that's an unreasonable expectation, because, and I think the question I would like us to look at is because everyone's learning environment at home, everyone's home environment is not supportive as equally to work or study, because like Andrea mentioned, there are different factors with where we live. Even here in the United States, we have many families that live without internet access because of the bandwidth and things like that. But I think we should look at innovation as educators. And just as the business world has looked at new PPE equipment, and they've looked at all kinds of new apps and lots of different things with delivery service and that, thinking educationally, social distancing, school hours, do we really have to isolate? We have seen a lot of research that children are not as affected as adults. Now, yes, they're going home with the adults, but there are barriers now. There are masks, there's hand washing, and I know different villages and different settings also have different outcomes. But I think looking at outside learning, looking at variable schedules, looking at blended learning, where maybe I take my most vulnerable teachers who really can't be with kids, but they're pretty tech savvy and they could be on the phone call, or they could be there. Let's look at having some government support and some business support of hotspots, having campuses. I know Santa Elena has a pretty big campus as far as its land. If we had some hotspots there, people could come and sit outside and you could have retired teachers, you could have high school students with masks, with some barriers, to have that learning opportunities for those students. And I think even looking at pre-recorded lessons where we can drop off a flash drive where they're there. Some free things that are there. And I think even looking at, even from a government level and a higher, leadership level from principals and district administrators, is let's look at the Ministry of Education standards. I went through them today. I have notes and notes and notes. Awesome. And you know what? It's not so specific to a worksheet. It's saying things like problem solving through play. It's talking about identifying people, plants, and animals. And as we go higher in our learning, we're classifying them differently. I don't know that we need packets. Yes, that's what we do as teachers, but maybe those parents can't teach that. That's why we're having a challenge. So I think if we can get a tribe together and come up with strategies that everyone is comfortable with, then that innovation will happen. Then you have, teacher leaders that are teacherpreneurs, right? But I think that just by taking that packet and bringing it to that individual house, it may or may not be the best thing, because we've been doing it now on this side and also on your side for 11 months. And we're seeing a lot of stress. We're seeing a lot of parent stress. We're seeing a lot of student stress. And I just think there's other options there.
Yeah, and what will that produce in the future? Because we're having a high stress environment, and what will that produce in the future? And so it's interesting because for me, I consider myself a pretty sharp guy, especially with technology. And my wife and I, we've had to go back and we thought we knew that. Okay, we have to go and relearn some stuff to make sure that our daughter gets it. And so imagine people that don't have access to internet readily, or don't have access to resource readily. So definitely, I think it's a very high stress atmosphere. And what do you guys think that's producing? I mean, tonight I am very concerned about the future. I'm very concerned about entrepreneurship, innovation, the future workforce. I'm very concerned about that. And so based on what is happening right now, do you guys believe we're effectively preparing our our future leaders with the tools that they need, or do you see things that we need to start consider and look at?
Well, Marv, I think that
we need to look.
Oh, go ahead, Andrea. I think right now, if we're looking at research, there's been some research done here in the United States as well as in the United Kingdom about what's happening with our children's brains. We're created by God as social beings, and we do need to interact. Even that person that's a computer programmer that likes to stay behind the scenes. But the majority of our students need to interact. They need to play. They need to problem solve. They learn things on the playground. They learn things going back and forth to classes from the time they're little in one all the way to high school or post-secondary. And I think what's happening is social media has distance with us anyway, because behind the social media, we can have friends that really we don't know, and it's not really personable. And I think what's happening is we're creating students that are very scared to interact. And once we've been doing this for so long, when they do come back, it's very difficult to communicate. It's very difficult now to read body language and social cues. We learn that through each other. And I think we're causing a lot of a lot of kids are confused, especially here in the States, and I'm sure it's similar there because you guys have had an election as well. But kids here are they're not sure what to think because they're nervous about COVID. They're nervous about the leaders. They're arguing and things like that. And I think when they're the teachers and the school community that's so great at walking us through social skills and interacting with the students and giving them opportunities to cooperate and problem solve, right now, we're not seeing that. And honestly, I mean, some people get a little upset with me for saying I think kids need to be in school, and I think they're going to be okay if we protect them. I think the dangers of them without having their social and learning environment is more detrimental to them than particularly getting COVID. Especially with the research now that we're seeing with children and even adults are recovering. Very sick children and very sick adults we're seeing those deaths, and it just hurts my soul. But I really am, Merv, I'm nervous about what's happening with the kids not being able to socialize and interact. And those parents are not at the level that a teacher is. They are great in their own business. You send them to school because you're not a teacher. There are certain things that some of our parents, it's hard I could not teach certain things past a certain grade level, and I'm ahead of school. So we need those environments where our kids can interact, because then they're going to go out into the workforce and need to work together.
And guys, tonight, for those tuning in, welcome again to Creative Monday Discussion. We are talking to educators, teachers. We're talking about how do we prepare our future leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs for the workforce, and in the reality of what's going on in this pandemic. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to continue this discussion. This has been great. Again, this is something very, very passionate. I'm passionate about, as you can obviously see, because I'm very concerned. I'm also invested in the future workforce. I'm invested in future entrepreneurs. I'm very passionate about seeing entrepreneurs raise up and building a healthy business community on a whole, right? And so let's take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to continue this discussion.
People daily seek to connect to something meaningful, something eternal, something they can invest their time, energy, and money into.
Make a connection to Transpolice for all the graphic designs and advertising needs. Connect to Transpolice for all your web designs and branding needs.
Connect to Transpolice. We use graphic art, videos, websites, and social platforms to connect businesses, organizations, and individuals to what's most valuable, people. If you're imagining your information on the web, on a poster or video, TAS will make it happen. So go ahead and plan your wedding. We'll capture it for you. Document the things you want to remember, and we'll compile it for you. Write your songs, and we'll record you. Don't stop there. Go bigger. Paint it, and we'll billboard it. Brochure it, banner it, and postcard it. Business card, bookmark, and catalog it. If it sounds like too much, business package it. Because we do that too, and we've got you. We are committed in heart and mind. And what we do it well.
Make your connection to touch beliefs for all the graphic designs and advertising needs. Connect to touch beliefs for all your web designs and branding needs.
I love it. You know, at the end of that ad, that's an ad from my company, Task Belize. We're a digital strategic marketing company based here in Belize. But one of the ending is it had a hashtag Better Belize, and I realized that has been a passion of mine for years. We did this ad years ago, but it's always been a passion for us to see a better Belize. And so with that, that's why we're talking about education, because a better Belize means that we're raising up better leaders, better entrepreneurs, better innovators, better taught leaders that present their best version of themselves to the world. Tonight we have Dr. Jen, we have Miss Sonia and Miss Andrea with us, and we're having a conversation around how do we prepare our future leaders, right? So Miss Jen, I really love what you were talking about earlier. And one of the questions I want to present to all of us, again, you know, it's easy to talk about it. I know that's the reality. So how does teachers, how does educators start to make small steps and sure steps towards this transition that needs to happen? Because it's obvious there's a shift that needs to take place in our approach of educating the minds of future leaders, right? So what are some practical steps that educators needs to take? Because I think it starts there, and I know it also happens in the home. So we can talk about what educators need to do, what the parents need to do, and then how can we help our kids in this time to really blossom during this intense stress time, in a sense.
I think before we I think one of the steps that we really missed this time when we started all of this, but we learn as we go along, meeting with the parents. Yeah. I think that we should have met with the parents, and I think it's something that we still can do. We meet with the parents and we explain, because
it's good.
I can see now, based on what I've observed and what I know, that children are having difficulty and the parents are not making it easy for them either. So instead of liking school and wanting to learn, it's becoming more challenging for them because the parent is frustrating, and the parent is frustrating the child. And if the child doesn't know the work, then the parent gets angry. So it is not creating a very good environment for the students, for the child itself. So we need to look at the parents first and see how we can assist these parents so that they can assist these kids. Because forcing them to do our work and railing up with them and scolding them and it's not helping any of that. No. So then it's making it's challenging for the student, because when they have to, they challenge the health risk, which is COVID-19, the educational system, which is having to be at home but doing schoolwork at the same time, and then having their parents being their teacher for them, you know. And then for some kids where school was a getaway for them, it's not anymore. So these are all these things we need to look at, and working with the parents will make it a little bit easier for them to work with the kids, because we need them on board. We need them to be mentally prepared.
Yeah. I like that, you know, and you know, here's the reality. The reality, COVID hit us. We weren't prepared. This was new. The world had to radically adjust. We had to quickly pivot, and we just had to figure it out as we go along. And so here we are 11 months in, and I love what you said. It's not too late. It's not too late for educators and teachers to go back to parents, because, you know, we experienced that. We're parents. We've seen it. You know, decisions had to be made, and they had to be made quickly, and we had to kind of shift. But it would be nice to sit down and say, okay, why are we doing this? Why are we doing it this way? And to give the parents a voice in this time, to kind of give input, because there's some brilliant parents out there as well, and give them an opportunity and a voice to say, hey, from our observation, this is something that we suggest you can do maybe to improve the situation, right? And so it's not too late. And so I really love that point that you brought out. Any other points along that line?
Well, I know that we in the United States, we had COVID hit us, in March. We were on a call later after COVID, Merv, and your country was kind of coming alongside with a little while later. But one of the things after our summer break, we were able to reopen. We opened much later than we originally thought, and we did do that. Because when COVID hit, we were not able to sit and meet with parents. It was just, hey, everything shut down. So we did do that. We had a parent meeting, and we did it in multiple ways. I even had staff that went out to parents' houses. Of course, they were socially distanced, and they were, just kind of talking through things, because not all parents could come out. But we also offered it through video. There were a lot of surveys. SurveyMonkey's free. There's a lot of other free surveys that you can send, asking for information, asking for help. We were able to get some grant funding to purchase some tablets to help with the digital. We were also able to do things differently, because not all of our students are tech savvy either. And we also are not wanting to just have a lot of packet work. I mean, some things are necessary to write, but I think that getting some, some of the people, we have the similar thing here in the United States. Not everyone can get out to the school. Not everyone can transfer in or have transportation in. And so if schools can be mindful, safe, but mindful of, hey, there's some remote village or some remote areas that I may have to travel out and do a check, wearing my mask, wearing my PPE, but just checking in, every other week, if it can't be weekly. I think that is something to get some feedback to see how we're doing. And again, where schools have the ability, because not all schools can do this, think about that school day. Does it need to be during this time and this time? And Andrea and Sonia had mentioned that they talk to their students after hours. And I know this, the Santa Elena teachers shared how they do things so differently. And I'm sure a lot of schools in Belize are the same way. But I think just making sure that we're able to evaluate what exactly we are attaching a grade to. And also making some help available to the local areas for the parents.
Yeah. Very good. And for those tuning in, again, welcome to Creative Monday Discussion. So the question we're talking about right now is practical steps that can be taken for teachers can take, as well as parents can take to help our kids during this time. Miss Sonia, I when I was talking with Miss Jen, she said that you have some very amazing tactics that you're using, and effective tactics you're using that's working. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how you're doing it and the impact it's having.
Okay, well, first of all, for our section, we had targeted, okay, let's work with packages. And we put ourselves as parents. We said, okay, how would I feel as a parent receiving this package?
I love that.
And we tried to make our package as informative and as I would say as easy to follow as possible for the parent itself to be able to understand. And believe me, we made some mistakes in the way, but we listened to our educators. We kept saying, okay, what did you feel we could do better? And that's how we work. We say they would comment on, okay, the workload is too much. Okay, we need to lessen it, but we need to still, we're not focusing on the, what's the word that I want to use? There's the quality and quantity. We weren't focusing on quantity, but we're focusing on the quality. So we will give a certain amount, but we're still targeting the higher level needs of the, And that's what we kept working on. And we decided, okay, we will gradually try to see how we can include working on the online platform, which is the Google Classroom. To be able to do this, it took a lot from us. We created videos, we communicated with parents, we told them the situation that, our COVID cases can rise, and they did, and we want the safety of the best. And at the same time, in our package would include links, and it would be difficult for them to be typing out the link over in a device for them to see a video so that they could grasp the concept more. So it would be easier if we could just send the link on a device and they click with the button, and it would be able to, just play on itself with little errors. We gradually moved on by steps. We created forums that were very functionable and allowed parents to be able to get a feedback. And that's a major thing for them. They want to know, how did my child do in this particular area?
Yeah.
We communicated with them. Yes, it is very important. They were able to understand that, okay, even though we're not telling you this is going to receive a grade, but it's something that we are collecting in order to show that, we are providing work to your child. It's important to communicate with the parents. Many of them are very concerned, saying, okay, what about the students that it's possible that someone is doing the work for them? It's possible that, they don't have help at home. They're doing it on their own. Had they received more help in the classroom, they would have done better. So there were so many concerns that were brought up. And we gradually decided we will do oral assessments, we will do video calls, phone calls, and we would try to gradually move on. But it did take a lot. And many people keep asking us, how did you convince so many parents to join online? We keep saying it's like selling a product. You have to tell them it's easier, it's more functional, it's safer. And parents actually did understand. And just similar, like some teachers, they weren't tech savvy. The same thing with some parents. They had little knowledge of their cell phone would function. They didn't even know the proper steps for some of them. But I look at my son. My son is a 7-year-old child, and he does amazing work on a device. I can say I'm very proud of him. He picks fast. And I know we shouldn't be comparing children, but I look at my son and I say, if he can grasp, readily move on, I can also hope for the rest to be able to pick up these same. With that in mind, we kept pushing and kept our goal, and successfully we were able to reach, I would say, 90% of our students fully online.
Very good. Very good. I love that. And what I'm hearing in that, and I want to just echo it for anyone who's watching and those who will watch the reruns. Communication is key, and making sure that there's open dialogue that's happening between the teachers, the kids, between the parents and the school. I think if we're gonna effectively invest and really empower these kids and the future leaders, there needs to be communication happening across the board, and parents need to have a voice, the teachers need to have a voice. We need to have honest communication and say, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's working. And I think as teachers, I think part of the responsibility is to lead out in that, because you're the ones kind of creating the platform and the space to interact with the kids. So I'm thinking about we're about to step into 2021. I know a lot of people in their mind was like, okay, the year is done, life will go back to how it needs to be, but 2021 is right here. And what do we need to be thinking about in moving forward? Because a lot of things was coming to my mind just now, and I'll hold my thoughts on those till afterwards. But 2021 is coming here, is right around the corner, and what are some things we've talked about what we've learned, but we're going into 2021. What do you guys look forward to, and how are you preparing? How are you gearing up for what's coming down the pipe next year? Loaded question. I think you're muted, Michelle.
Would that be in the classroom itself? Like if we were to return back into the classroom?
Well, I think it's both. I think because honestly, I'm not sure if we're going to be returning back to the classroom. I don't see any signs, at least right now, that things are going to shift. I don't see, and again, I'm not in tune with every dynamics that's happening. So if this continues, if what's been happening in 2020 continues to 2021, how are we preparing? Are we ready? What shift are we making? What do you guys have to say to that?
Merv, I think that, again, I'm going back to the policymakers, and I'm going back to educators, because I think sometimes and I think it doesn't matter which country you're from. I think generally we go, well, let's see what legislation says, right? And I think the ground level, at the grassroots level, we can have a movement. And I think that standards in our country are strong, and I think standards in Belize are strong. It's just how are we going about those standards and reaching those standards? And I think this has shown us we have to think differently about what we're teaching our kids. And I think that taking this time and saying, wow, what happened when people could not go to work? What does that do to a community? How does it cause your gross national product to decrease? Then you throw on a hurricane and flooding. What happened? Innovation, crisis brings creativity and innovation. And I think if we can start looking at that framework and saying, okay, as educators, what kind of cool projects could we give our students to be thinking about? Thinking entrepreneurially. I'm not saying everyone has to be their own business person, because then who is going to be the worker? But I do think that we need to think creatively about what could happen if we stay like this for a long time. The way we've done things and the thing that we've, look at tourism. When you shut down states and countries and people can't travel as freely as they did, I mean, we have to think differently. And I think this is such a great opportunity to have those conversations with our students. Even the little kids can be thinking about doing things differently. And I would like this to be an opportunity globally that people start thinking about, okay, what is our purpose as educators and what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And how can we make education, actually, if we say education is to make us be more productive members of our community, to contribute and to grow and produce things, well, we're not producing horse and buggy anymore. We're not producing, and I think this right now is a shifting time. I've said this before, and I think if we can really get our hands wrapped around that, and I know there are some schools that are very innovative in what they've been doing. Santa Elena has done an amazing job. Our school is a lot different than some of the schools in our community and the way we're actually reaching our children. So I think that's a good place to start.
It's good.
I'm thinking about the Team for Children's Day. Investing our children, investing in our future. I think it's something very serious that we need to look at, because these children are our future and we need to invest in them. We have a change in government, and I am hopeful that they can come down to us, to the principals, to the teachers, the ones that are in the classroom. What is the best way forward when it comes to our students? Because many schools, including my school, have done so many things and had so many challenges and so many experiences that can be shared around the table as to where we can move forward when it comes to the education of our students. It is something that we really need to consider, and it is something that the government needs to invest in. The parents need to take time out to sit down and to think, what is it and how is it I can make time for my child? Because this is not going away. It is a three-way thing. Four-way now, because we need the government a part of it. It's the student, the teacher, the parent, and the government. We all need to come together to make it better for the students. It cannot be dependent on only the school and on only the teachers, them, to do their part, because we need their support. We need their help, and parents need their help as well. It is something that is more of a community, more of a country call, and I hope that they will come to us and ask us for our ideas, because we are the ones experiencing it. We are the ones in the field. We are the ones that know what we're going through, what the parents are going through, and what the kids are going through. And I believe that we can make some very good suggestions, some very positive suggestions to moving forward when it comes to the education of our students. And I will go back again and say that we cannot only think about the few, but we need to think about the minority. We need to think about our special ed students and our students with disability. I mean, there's a lot that we need to think about. It's for everyone. It's not only for a few. We need to think about everyone when we make a decision and when we move forward.
Very good. You know, when I was talking with Miss Jen last week, as we were just preparing for the show, one of the thoughts or the question that came up was like, you know, why are we doing what we're doing? Like, why are we using this system? Um, and you know, I was reading a CNBC article, and it suggests that in by 2025, more employees will work on hybrid work schedule. AI machines, AI and machine learning will transform hiring. Innovation teams will be more global. If this is true, what kind of shift needs to happen in the educational space? Because we're still kind of dealing with, you know, old computers. We're still dealing with some of those things, and the world is shifting. And as much as I don't like some of what's happening right now in this COVID time, it's actually propelling us forward into the future. And so, I guess my question for us is that, like, what kind of shift, or what shift are we thinking about, in terms of working in a world where there's AI technology, where there's machine learning, and in hiring, like, so you won't be dealing with a person, you'll deal with a machine that's automated in the hiring process, right? And so that's kind of where things are going, right? And so I'm bringing that up for you guys as educators, and just kind of let's talk a little bit. We have about 7 more minutes. Let's talk a little bit about that as we're getting ready to close off our time.
Merv, I think it goes back to mindset. There are many businesses that will say, I can teach the skill of my work as long as, you know, basic reading, writing, math. I mean, we know there's some basic skills in primary education that we really need to focus on. But when we're moving into secondary and tertiary instruction, it really is a growth mindset. And it's really those soft skills of community.
Yeah.
I like to not think of them as soft skills anymore. Communication, cooperation, creative thinking outside the box, having a diversity mindset. Not that my skin is diverse from you, but my opinion is different. And I think that if we can focus on that kind of thing, we're going to be able to interact and move forward with any technology that presents itself, because very often our block towards technology usage is just, it's not that we're not trained, it's just our mindsets are so close to it. So I think that if we can really have that as part of what we do as educators, is give experiences to our students to problem solve, to have productive struggle. We're not rescuing them from every challenge. That challenge can be multiple days. It's not, you have to have an answer by the time the bell rings. You know, I think that grading, not having a grade for everything. Why do I have to have an A? So what? Who cares? I don't get an A. Like, let's work through, you know, challenging ourselves and having that failure, but coming back from it. I think that's going to be so much more solid.
I love that. I really, really love that, because, you know, the system so pushes the grade, so pushes, oh, you have this time to solve this. And, you know, you're right. Not every problem is solved in a day. But can you keep your mind, and can you keep at it? Can you keep processing it, thinking about it, and then come to a solution? So I really love that. In our closing remarks, what do you, just whatever, I don't want to close, that's why I'm hesitating. I love this topic, but we only have an hour. We only have an hour for the show, so we gotta wrap up soon. But any closing remarks? What do you want to leave our audience with this evening?
At Santa Elena Primary School, we have our pride. Our pride is that, you know, we are respectful, we are responsible, and we are safe. Perhaps we as individuals, we need to continue doing that, you know, and say, you know, I will be respectful, I will be responsible, and I will be safe. Not only regarding the COVID crisis that we're having, but also regarding education. You know, I'm going to be respectful with dealing with parents and dealing with the teacher, and I'm going to be responsible for providing feedback to my parents, and the parent will also be responsible for getting in contact with the teacher, and I will be safe, ensuring that I am very, you know, like with the distance and so on.
Very good, very good. You know, I have to say this. Good job, Miss Sonia. And I have to say this, as you're talking, I'm thinking here, I need to recruit Miss Sonia as part of my sales team. You're very good. You're very good. Miss
I'll
Andrea, any
just start
closing
with small
remarks?
things.
Miss Sonia is very good. She is very good, and proud of her.
Awesome.
She's one of the teachers that have 100% of her students online.
Oh, very good.
So she's very good at what she does. And I will finish off with what Miss Sonia said, that the best keeps getting better. We all have to look forward. We cannot underestimate our kids them. These kids are techno savvy. We just have to have patience with them. We just have to introduce it to them. We just have to give them time for them to process. They are creative. They are smart. And it's just a process for them that they'll need to get through. I like to end up by saying that we are doing our best. We are the future for these kids. We are the ones right now that these kids are depending on. Let's not give up on them. Let's continue the brainstorming. Let's continue the innovation that we have. Let's continue validating them for the effort that they are giving. And I am sure that we will reach the goal that we set. And I'm sure that by next year and the future, we will look at what we have done and we will applaud ourselves and pat ourselves on the shoulder. But don't let us give up on our kids them any at all. Let's be there for them. Let's be their strength. Let's be their motivator. Let's be their guardian angel. Be there for them. Let them know that we will not give up.
Very good. Before Miss Jen gives her closing remarks, a question actually came in that we want to take time to address in our short time here. But the question is, how can the working parent be more accommodating in this learning process for our children? Because not all homes have someone there during the day to assist kids.
I think that's up to the school to be a little more
a good
flexible.
Point.
I think we're talking at the same time. I think that the schools need to be a little more flexible. And I do understand teachers have a day that they, they have a certain day that they work. At our school, our teachers have a lot of flexibility. And I know with Santa Elena, the same thing. You just have to allow students that do not have parents or people at home that can support them that opportunity to get feedback in a different way other than 8 to 3:30. So I think that that needs to, you just need to look at it a little more flexibly. And I think parents should communicate that with the teacher. Most of our teachers and principals are very reasonable when it comes to a parent asking for assistance. So I think being communicative is very important.
Very good. So I
agree with you, Dr. Jen. It's communication.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Miss Andrea. Or I guess Miss Andrea's finished.
I agree with Dr. Jen. It comes down to communication. At Santa Elena Primary School, what we do, we usually will send out a schedule, and if parents cannot meet the schedule, we ask the parents to communicate with us and ask us what's the best time for us to meet with them along with their child, and it has been working out fairly well for us. Some of our teachers work on weekends because we know some parents are at home weekends, so we will schedule time Saturday and Sunday with them as well. So it all has to do with them communicating with us and letting us know that they will not be available at a certain time, and they give us their time, and 100% of the time our teachers are there whenever the parent requested a time to be there.
Very good. Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on. I want to thank our guests for tuning in. It's definitely, I really enjoyed the conversation. We want to thank our sponsors, Task Belize Limited for Mosa Cafe, Coaching with Melanie, the Art Shack, the Mapan YWCA, TNC, and Budram Solutions. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Creative Monday Discussion Show. We will see you again next week, Monday, same time. And next week, we will be talking to kids who are doing great things. They have big dreams, and so you want to tune into that. Don't miss it. I want to say God bless you, stay safe, and have a great evening. Take care.